The Dr. Attila Grandpierre name is becoming a household name in Hungary. You are equally famous as a scientist, musician, writer, and public speaker. You sing magic folk music, the music of the future, worth several blood transfusions. You are a distinguished solar astronomer, and you just finished an astounding book about the living sun. You are the MTA Konkoy Observatory retired chief scientific researcher, awaiting the publication of the English version of your landmark book called The Grand Book of the Living Universe, The Spiritual Foundations of Science. You come from a dynasty of much respected writers. You also wrote numerous books and articles about science, the origin of the Hungarians, their culture and history. You were a visiting professor at the prestigious Chapman University, USA, for 6 months recently. You travel in your native Hungary, widely lecturing, have scores of YouTube talks, alas, mainly in Hungarian, though a few are subtitled in English. But your views are too important not to be expressed in English too, regularly and directly by you to the English language speaking world. The aim of this interview is to introduce you in English to YouTube viewers. I welcome you from Australia. In place of the current mainstream materialist-only reductionist model of science about the universe and life, you offer a novel, comprehensive, integrated astrobiological model. Would you comment on this in a nutshell?
Actually, when I was a teenager, I was very much interested in the nature of the universe, and I attempted to understand not all the things about the universe, because it's impossible to know, but at least the essence of the universe. And because of the nature of my interest about the universe as a scientific understanding, I began my search towards exploring the essence of the universe by natural sciences and certainly by physics. And very soon I realized that physics has something very important to say about the universe, but not only regarding the observable phenomena, but also regarding the physical laws, because the physical laws are can be regarded as something like a concentrated form of the observable phenomena, because they generate and govern phenomena. Therefore, I understand that the physical laws are something more essential than physical phenomena, because one physical law can involve an innumerable number of phenomena. Therefore, if I am attempting to understand the physical phenomena, I can feel myself in a jungle. It is hard to penetrate. But in the realm of the physical laws, there are only a few, and so it is much easy to orientate myself in a forest in which only a few trees are growing. So these trees are the physical laws. And then the second question was that, can it be that the real essence of the universe lies on a still deeper level? And then my understanding was yes, because all the fundamental physical laws can be derived from the first principle of physics, which is the least action principle, which I realized that it is something like the principle of inertia. And therefore, I obtained a very powerful tool to grasp the essence of physics, The essence of physics is inertia, the inertia principle, the least action principle. And then it was a very useful tool for me to proceed and to explore the entire nature of the universe, because it was not taken for granted that the universe can have only a physical nature. Because if there are other first principles of nature besides that of physics, the inertia principle, then certainly the universe has not only a physical nature. And because the principle of inertia is something missing any kind of real actions, and living beings are really capable to act, and this is what we like to do and have to do, I realized that we have something more beyond physics. And when I was 16 years old, I received for my birthday a very valuable treasure, the book of Erwin Bauer, the great Hungarian biologist. The title of the book was Theoretical Biology. And in this book, Erwin Bauer formulated the first principle of biology, which is that every living being is a living being only because it mobilizes all the available energy sources for against the inertial behavior which would arise on the basis of initial physical conditions and physical laws. So this means that living beings do not like very much death. So because the equilibrium, the physical equilibrium would be a deathless state, therefore living beings mobilize all their energies to keep their distance above death. And this is our vitality. So the first principle of biology can be formulated in a way that we attempt to maximize our vitality. This is what we have to do in order to keep alive, to keep being alive. And then I realized that there exists a third cause of action, which is that of consciousness. Because then when we begin to speak now in this speech, in this conversation, then we decided to do it. And then our decision wasn't arising just because we are living being, but because we decided consciously that we will do this. And therefore, a third kind of cause also can govern behavior, and this is consciousness. So I formed a new picture about the essence of the universe, which is essentially complete, because it tells that the universe is not only physical, but biological and psychological as well. Because physics, biology, and psychology all have their first principles. And therefore, the universe consists not only of matter, but of life and of consciousness as well. And that life and consciousness are deeper than matter, because the Bauer principle is the principle of action, the principle of mobilization energies beyond the physical abilities. Therefore, it is something more than physical existence. Therefore, life is something deeper, beyond the quantum level. So, because physics involves quantum physics, therefore life can be found only beyond quantum physics. And this is what life really does. It organizes the quantum physical spontaneous processes like production of virtual particle pairs from the quantum vacuum. And this is the very flexible tool by which we can bend our finger with utmost ease.
Okay.
So in this way, I obtained a comprehensive natural science, which is a unified picture of physics, biology, and psychology, all expressed in the unified language of the action principle. because the least action principle is a form of action principle. The biological principle can be expressed, and I expressed it, I reformulated it as the principle of greatest action, because this is what we all want to do, to have the maximum of energy for the maximum of lifespan. And so this is a maximum principle, which every living being are moved by the maximum principle, and this is the principle of life. And also the first principle is the principle of consciousness. And so this principle of consciousness is also corresponding to the action principle. Therefore, the action I found a formulation of the action principle which forms a unified picture of the entire universe, grasping it at the deepest level and offering an essentially complete picture for the first time in the history of science.
Wonderful. But people seem to be preoccupied with materialism in modern times. What impact do you think this makes on their lives?
I think that it has so deep and profound impact on changing our life, our private life as well as our social life, that it is hard to imagine. Because if we were live in an inanimate universe, as Bertrand Russell visioned, then there would be no reason to act. There would be no reason to believe, because everything would be destroyed with the collapse of the solar system, as the materialist picture suggests. But if life is more profound beyond physics, then the state of physical matter is not everything, because life can be preserved, and if the whole universe is basically biological, then life would be preserved forever, and this would mean that we have a companion, we have a big cosmic companion, a cosmic friend, which is the living universe, and this magnificent cosmic being can become our friend when we open all our mental abilities to connect and reconnect with all the universe in its all capacities, and which involves mental capacities as well. And so it can be very powerful in obtaining a much more efficient mind, and we can vitalize all our life, because we do not have to be depressed that our life will terminate, but we can feel that we are always connected with the universal principle of life, which is something like a cosmic life form. So indeed, our personal life is connected to the infinity, and so we are participating in an infinite type of life, and so our life will continue forever, and the meaning of our life can be preserved. And so it is completely new perspectives are offered on scientific ground. And this is why one of my books have the subtitle that the scientific foundations of spirituality. Because if we consider that spirituality in a scientific sense, that the spiritual is what is beyond matter, what is beyond physics, then biology and psychology are something like the scientific expression of the spiritual ability of reality, of the universe, of our human being.
Right. Has humanity always been preoccupied with materialism?
The materialism is, in a certain way, in a restricted way, is a part of our life, because matter is a part of our life. So matter is very profound, and it is one of the essence of the universe. Therefore, it was always very much it had always a basic importance. But materialism as an ism, it is something like like an ideology, which is exclusive, which is definitely directed against everything else, which is beyond its limits. And this is what is a new, what is a new development, because materialism, as far as I understand, has had a definite beginning somewhere 3,000 years ago, when the ancient Greeks became more and more profanized their lives, and this profanization of their life to chase for luxury and other greed and so on. So these are very materialistic tendencies. But actually, materialism became a very powerful tool in our social life only after physics became very successful, which have began something like 4 centuries ago with the scientific revolution, and it had a very profound impact in the last 2 centuries, when materialism had become more and more powerful. And I think that materialism have definite limitations, because it received a scientific support by physics. But if an intelligent civilization would exist on any planet of the entire universe, then I think that an intelligent civilization has to develop sciences. And of course, the first science to develop will become the simplest science, which is the science of the simplest things, which is the science of the inanimate things, the science of physics. So in every planet of the whole universe, the intelligent civilizations will develop first physics. And when the first science, physics, will develop, it will enjoy a monopoly. I think that materialism has become of central importance and dominant position only in the last centuries. And it became important in the last 3 millennia. But before that time, we lived in the magic age, in the golden age, which is studied by my father, Andris Grandpierre, and then he was able to prove by very powerful arguments that the golden age has really existed, and it was more than 3 million years long. And so we lived more than 3 million years long in a society in which was very different from our present one, when the relations between human beings were much more fruitful and much more cooperative. And this is what we can learn from our predecessors, and what we can learn from history, because we are in an age in which we are awaiting a new golden age, because this belongs to the nature of life and to the nature of humanity, that we have to reach our full capacity, because this is why we are existing. We have to unfold our capacities, like a flower has to blossom. We have to grow our human capacities until their possible heights, and when we can do this, we will become more human. We will become more human and more cooperative, and because we are living now in the 21st century, which is the century of biology. This means that the monopoly of physics will cease very soon, and then we will understand what is life. And if we will understand what is the essence of life, then we can, as conscious being, put the idea of life into our consciousness, and then we can become consciously living beings, and we cannot become fully living beings without being consciously living. So we have to know about what is life, what is the real nature of life, in order to put it into the center focus of our mind, and to live with this knowledge. And this is what we will do in the 21st century, and this will transform completely our perspectives. And this means that if the whole universe is a living being, is a living organism, a higher level organized living organism, in a similar way as we are a higher level being, a higher organization above the level of our individual cells. So in a similar way, the living universe is a higher level organism in which we are living in. This means that we have to live with our abilities and interact in a fruitful way with our internal capacities and with the universe, with nature efficiently. And this means that the humanity will learn how to cooperate and how to become a good brain center of the living universe, because the living universe has an internal world, therefore it can be conceived as a cosmic mind, and humanity is a brain center of this cosmic mind. And as every brain center, the task of this brain center is to work well. This means humanity has to work well, and we can work well as a cosmic brain center only if we cooperate with each other and with nature in a harmonious way. Therefore, we have to develop a natural society in which is bio-friendly, which is life-centered, which evaluates life as the highest gift of the universe. And if we do that, then our abilities will unfold, and we can form a natural society in which humanity as a whole becomes a super organism which lives and acts harmoniously with living beings, with cells, and with nature, with the living universe.
Right. So how do you think that embracing your views would help people to live more with more purpose and more fully, if they took your views on board?
Yeah, I think that at present we are living in a consumer society, and this consumer society tends to manipulate us, and it can manipulate us only if it makes us, in a certain sense, inert. And so then we will, if we will become manipulated, then we will be attracted towards laziness, towards consuming, towards the easiest solutions. But if we follow a way of life towards an easy life, then we will become, as living beings, an inert beings. So we will become only living beings which are not really living beings, because we are very close. We become very similar to inanimate beings, because inanimate beings are following the easiest solutions, because we have to mobilize all our internal power, as every living organism does, including the grass on the field, mobilizes all its vital energies towards the highest life is possible, and which is the in a largest distance from the deathly equilibrium given by physics. So it means that we have a cosmic imperative within us. This tells us that live with your life fully, live with your life maximally, and discover your life, the real potential of your life as much as possible, and make your life really extraordinary, because your life arises by the genius of nature, by the genius of the universe. And this genius of the universe created you with immense human potentials, and you have to live with it. And if you are a living being and want to become, and you have to become a fully living being, then you have to mobilize all your powers from the morning until the evening, and even in the evening time, to find your maximal and most extraordinary heights, which are the real heights indicated by the cosmic imperative of life.
Okay, so how does this view of yours about this cosmic imperative that one needs to live life fully has affected your own way of living?
Yeah, when I wake up, I realized that I have something which is different. I have a power which is neglected by the consumer society. And this power is an immense power, because this power is the power of life. And I can mobilize this immense cosmic power within me. So when I wake up, I try to mobilize it as far as I can. So this means I make gymnastics, and I try to maximize my physical potentials. But at the same time, I try to mobilize all my spiritual energies, all my mental energies. So I say to myself that I will elevate my whole life. I will elevate my whole day, and I will find the maximum possible solutions at this very day. And this is something like a slogan of my day, that I will do my best all the day to find the maximum potentials which I am able to do at every day, from the morning until the evening, and including my hidden potentials, because I do not know everything, because nature is who knows everything. Therefore, I have to be open for the knowledge given in my cells, and given in the infinite laws of the universe, which are permeating me and transcend me into infinity, because the laws of nature and the first principle of life cannot be constrained in space and time. Therefore, my very living power, my very vital power, is intimately connected with a cosmic power which is impossible to delimit in space and time. Therefore, I am intimately and personally connected to an infinite power which is infinite in space and time, and also at its spiritual height as well. So I have to live with this potential, and I think this is something that if we do every day our best, then if everybody would do their best, what they are able to, then the mankind will be transformed very, very soon, within some years.
Right. Now, music, astronomy, and astrobiology are passionate interests of yours. Can you explain how they relate and how they helped you to shape your views?
Yeah, since my early childhood, music has an extraordinary impact on me. And many times it occurred that I became falling into a trance state, similar to an extraordinary love, in which I do not experience space and time, just the emotions, just the feelings which are rising in me by the creative powers existing in music. And then I realized in my early childhood that sometimes music can have magic power. This is also what I learned from my father, that he told that once upon a time, a few thousand years ago, music had a magic power on human beings, and it was able to elevate all of us into cosmic heights. And then from these cosmic heights, we can live our life much better. And so I was always wondering, how can I discover this kind of cosmic power, this kind of magic music. And I speculated that if it existed some millions of years, then it has to exist in a form of folk music. So there has to be existing a magic folk music. And so if the magic folk music arises from the cosmic powers which transcend space and time, then they must exist within me as well. And all the time, every human being must have an access to this magic power. And then I became open to this internal power, which was sometimes spontaneously emerging in me. And then I made some extraordinary things that nobody was expecting. And then it was even so shocking that I didn't tolerate it for a few years, because it was something strange and something ancient and something like Eastern folk music was spontaneously erupting from me without ever heard before such a kind of music. So how can I sing a music which I never knew before? But I experienced this so frequently that slowly I realized I developed an attitude to accept this kind of spontaneous impulses coming within me. And then I realized that this cosmic power exists really in music. The power of the living universe really does exist in music. And I realized later on, searching about similar views, that Béla Bartók, the genius of 20th century music, a world-renowned musician and composer, he found that the most important thing in his whole life is folk music. And then he realized that there exists a strange, extraordinary kind of folk music, which is not the one by which we are familiar with, but a completely different one, which arises from the power of nature. And this kind of music, the true folk music, the folk music of peasants, as Béla Bartók formulated, this folk music has three criteria. It is initiated by a natural power, without the influence of any external culture, and then it is created in a specially clear state of mind. So this is what I already experienced from my early childhood, that these spontaneous eruptions in which were completely transformed me into another world, the world of music, when I forget about space and time, and I lived only to the music, and I experienced only the music and nothing else. And I saw the music, I saw the reality of music, the world of music, that it is existing a universe which is built not from atoms, but from melodies and rhythms, and there are some eternal forms, musical forms, which are the spiritual body of the living universe. And they are breathing, they are living, and they are attempting to be expressed. And we can resonate with them. And if we resonate them, we are living fully our life. We are connecting and reconnecting to the cosmic powers. And this is what occurs so frequently. When I go to stage, then only the first 5 minutes, which is hard for me, because then I mobilize all my energies, and after 5 minutes it is impossible to continue. Therefore I lose my mind and I turn into a different realm of reality, and then it becomes everything much more easy and spontaneous, and then I became an liberated, full and complete, much more complete being than before.
Fantastic. Finally, your father, he has had a very deep impact on your life. Can you talk about that?
My father, Andris Grandpierre, has been an extraordinary person who was a historian of ancient history of humanity and of Hungarians, and as well as a writer and a thinker. and he was a very deep thinker because he had been thinking about the nature of logic. That he was not satisfied with the idea of logic, but what was the received view that logic is something like the formal logic or of Aristotle. No, he experienced that logic is a wonderful ability. It is a cosmic power, which is not something dry, but it is very vital. It has some kind of power, some kind of powers by which we have to live in order that logic could become stronger and more complete and more fit with reality. And this doesn't mean that we have to lose control. No, we do not have to lose control. We have to lose almost completely control, but control has to remain in order to fit reality in a more appropriate way. So the control, the rational control, must have a certain place in human thinking. But logic is much more than the surface of rational logic, going by one step by one step, because intuition and impressions and who knows what, because our mind is much bigger than we are thinking and what we can conceive about it. So human mind is a power of nature, and this is a tool of nature given to us in order to do something in this world, and in order to understand this world, in order to understand the whole world. Therefore, it is something like the philosopher's stone, because by nature, its natural task is to understand everything or to show everything if we are able to know how to use it. And this is what my father explored, that we have to use logic much more carefully and much more fully. And he was as a historian, he was perhaps the most famous as a historian of ancient history of humanity and of Hungarians. And he found that humanity was living in a magic age for more than 3 million of years, and we were living in matriarchy and in peace and in cooperation, and we had a high level and high quality of knowledge, especially regarding our spiritual culture. And then this idea that we can live together in ways as we would like to. When I realized this, it was I has been 15 years old, and it was something like a lightning stroke into my mind, and I immediately I realized that, hey, there can be no more interesting and more exciting thing in the whole world than to study this thing, that we can live the life what we would like to. And this is our natural task. This is why we would like to live life more fully, because it is a power. This is the aim of nature with our life, to live it. It is a treasure, but it can become a real treasure only if we live it. And then I decided that I will, in my all of life, I will study this magic way of logic and magic way of living and magic way of thinking, and the magic age, because these are the biggest secret of humanity, and we have to resolve these questions in order that the treasure, what is called humanity, become a real treasure, a real cosmic treasure, valuable for nature as well, and as valuable as we as a species of Homo sapiens can be.
Grandpierre Attila, thank you very much for the interview.